The regular meeting for Shafter City Council, Tuesday, December the 7th, 2021. Roll call, all members of the council are present. At this time, I call forward Councilmember Espinoza to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Alvarado with the invocation.
Please stand. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day you have given us all, Lord. We just thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve our community. We ask that you continue guiding us, Lord. And just thank you again for all the blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, man.
Okay, approval of agenda.
Okay.
There's no changes.
I'll make a motion to approve as read. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens to approve the agenda as read, seconded by Councilmember Lopez. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Public comment. Anyone in the audience care to address the council may do so at this time. Just give us your name and address and speak on anything that is not on the agenda. Any comments at all? Hearing none, we'll move on to council announcements and reports. Pete, you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to mention that today is National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. So today was the day that Pearl Harbor was attacked that started the United States in World War II.
Yes.
On November 25th through the 26th, I attended the national football tournament in Las Vegas, a youth football tournament. And we took the team from Shafter up there. We were a little bit outmatched by some of the teams we played. Our first game was against Anchorage, Alaska, and they were huge. And but our little guys, they stood in there and they played good. They represented Shafter well that weekend. On November 30th, I attended a community workshop on SB 1383 at the Vets Hall. And there is some different opinions and some ideas on 1383. On December 1st, I attended the Rotary Christmas tree decoration meeting at the Train Depot Museum. And for those of you that haven't taken time to tour the museum, it's a very, very nice museum. A lot of stuff to look at. And on December 2nd, I attended the Christmas tree lighting ceremony downtown. And that was a fun night. It was big turnout, a lot of people, some nice choir singing, and the atmosphere was very nice. On the 3rd, I'd like to give props to the Lions Club. And Gilbert, you guys did a great job with that parade. And I was fortunate enough to go through it twice. I went through at the front of the parade with the city council, and then I ran back to our entry, which was number 32, and we were pulling a float with a it's either 36 or 46 Farmall tractor. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching the city having a good time. So I like that. And then on the 4th, at the Minner Airfield Museum, Santa Claus flew in on a helicopter. So there was a lot of children there. They were giving away free stuffed animals and taking pictures with Santa Claus. And everybody seems like they're having a good time. And it made me feel good too. That's it.
Caesar, have anything?
Unfortunately, I don't have anything to report. I've been on commission for first time in my life with some medical issues. Currently, I'm sitting here, a little bit of pain, but we're here. But I have nothing else to report besides that.
Yeah, Gilbert?
I don't have much. I don't have much, but other than about the Christmas parade that the Lions host put on. I just want to say to everyone that helped out make it successful. Thank you. And I just also want to thank all the participants. We end up having like 44 participants in the parade. It was something we weren't, we were out of commission for a while. We didn't have it last year. So we're just trying to get back into the parade mode. So it turned out really good. And I think everybody had a great time. And just again, I just want to thank everyone here, the city for their support and their help, and the police department and public works for everything you guys did. Thank you. And again, the participants. Without the participants, you wouldn't have a parade. So thank you for all that. That's all.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's been that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been a while.
It has been busy. I jokingly said this is the most busiest time of the year. It is. There's always a lot going on. From the tree lighting ceremony, which Rachel, you and your staff, your team did fantastic. It was great to see everyone out there. It seemed like there was a really big turnout. And Chief, thank you for not picking Santa up on a potential burglary. Appreciate that. Yeah, breaking and entering. That's what it's called. Sorry. Thank you. It was a great turnout. Great to see a lot of folks out there. Great to see the groups who were participants. So that was a lot of fun being a part of that. The Lions Parade, it has a really good turnout. I love having it downtown. I love the atmosphere. And somebody was cooking something fantastic
Oh,
on
yeah,
James
you
Street. And I
noticed.
just don't know who it was.
That's right.
Man, it smelled great. And I know it wasn't the dump truck who was behind us, snowing us out the whole time, throwing us out there. It's been very good. We were able to go on and do a pretty successful Christmas play at the theater this weekend. So having a lot of fun with that. And now we're gearing up for the rest of the events that we have coming up with them, and preparing for shows for coming up next year. Newsies comes out in February. So we're excited for that.
Good. Okay, well, I started out in November the 18th. We attended, the staff and I, the city manager and I attended the MCAP meeting, which is our advisory group for emergency medical services. And our topic, our concern is with ambulance response within our community. So I believe there's already some other meetings that have happened, and we're going to see some better results so that we can make sure we have an ambulance service that stays in our communities for calls. And we will be following up on that even today. Also attended a COG meeting. There wasn't a whole lot on this time. It was pretty basic. And so we'll wait. And I believe they're going to drop or cancel the one for December. So the next one is we decorated. I helped with staff downtown. Public Works guys, maybe you've seen it on our social media and all, that have responded well again to decorate and help us out downtown. Pushing really hard to get it done after Thanksgiving. And I think the results have been received fairly well. We have the PD, and Chief, I want you to realize we did blue, didn't we? Did you see that blue up there? We fell right into that one. That was really cool to see those blue lights, and we were able to put blue lights up at the police department. Anyway, not just the police department, but downtown and City Hall, and as well as on our entrance signs. And they look good. It's being received very well. And I thank staff and our Public Works guys. The workshop that we had on AB 1383 was another one that Pete and I sat in and watched and listened. And some of the same comments that, we've all had, that we had even starting way back when this project was pushed onto us or mandated onto us, and the public will work with us and will somehow get the best results in the end. It's the only way. I mean, we got to do it. The tree lighting is always fun. We even did it last year, didn't we? Even though we didn't do COVID, we did the year before. Yes. And so the people did respond, and it was a good feeling. It was a warm evening. So that even helped, but well received. And the little kids, families that came out, you just can't beat it. And then that turned around and just went right into the parade issue. And I know Gilbert didn't get to ride in the parade this time, but when you ride along in the parade and you look down and you see these families and you see these little kids and they're just so excited. And I can tell you, many cities don't do a parade. They don't do public events. And I feel like we're really fortunate that we can still do it. And we have good control of the crowd that comes along. There's always a fear, but you know what, we've been successful, and I hope that we can continue to have those. And there is, thanks, the Lions Club came through again, and I understand the anxiety that you have because you don't know how it's going to turn out at the very last. Good variety. It was a good variety. Lots of trailers and people that put a little bit of effort in there to decorate and to really make it festive, and it was well received. And I'm like Pete, I got to ride twice, so did Chad. We rode first, and they did schedule us first at the head of the parade, and then we were able to run through again. Rotary missed, I don't know if you caught that or not, we were scheduled to go and they couldn't start the truck.
Oh, wow.
Yep, couldn't start the truck. So Gary left and went over and helped the Distinguished Young Women because they were having difficulties with theirs. So we were out there, but the best thing was that our staff and our community did respond. And that's what we needed to have. It needs to have that break after all these past couple of years that we've had. So it was a success, and it's been a good season to get started. So I believe that's all I have on mine. Okay, we'll move on to consent calendar. On the consent calendar, just briefly, we have 10 items. We have the approval of checks, payroll, overtime report, and then the minutes. Number 5 item is a letter of intent to Turnkey Energy for installation of three electric charging stations. And then we get to see our new electric vehicles, transit vehicles that get to be put out on the street. Number 6 is to accept the public improvements along 7th Standard Road from Community Drive all the way past Bryant Kern Canal grade separation. And it is a smooth ride right now. Yeah, it looks good out there. Number 7 is to approve a janitorial service rate increase for Macias Janitorial Services effective January 1st. Minimum wages have gone up for another $1 from $13 to $14, and then next year we'll have another increase to $15. Number 8 is to authorize city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Wildan Engineering for building inspection and a code enforcement service in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for the fiscal year 21-22. And number 9 is to reappoint Tim Unruh as a member of the Kern Mosquito and Vector Control District Board of Trustees for a 2-year term through December the 31st. Number 10 is to ratify the execution of a new lease agreement with Amazon for the use of 4.02 acres in the container yard for seasonal storage of some of their supplies coming in, but it ends in January the 31st. Any other questions on the consent calendar? Comments? No, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons, seconded by Councilmember Lopez to approve consent calendar.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yeah.
Gibbons,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Yes. Moving on, public comment time, or no, public hearing time is the Community Development Block Grant, which we call CDBG, project application for fiscal year 22-23.
So Mayor and Council, David makes his way up here. This is routine and ministerial, and that whenever the city applies for its CDBG entitlement, it requires, part of the process requires the city to hold a public hearing to receive public input from those individuals within the community that may be impacted. So this evening, part of that process is to have the public hearing in which Director Brands will present the item and provide you the report, and then give you an opportunity and the public to provide input. David?
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. This is related to Resolution 2837, which is a resolution that allows the city to apply for the 22-23 CDBG cycle, which we anticipate receiving just over $136,000. This grant, you know, has been used for various purposes over the years. In discussions with Public Works Director Mike James, we thought it would be a right scale for a space outside of the Learning Center to up to the grassy area between the fire station and the Learning Center to increase the usability of that space. which is consistent with the terms of the grant. So I'm happy to answer any questions. This is the public hearing where we take ideas. Informally, I've received several ideas from the public for that space. One is a chess garden. It would have some chess tables, perhaps if you've seen it like Morro Bay, a large chess set on the ground. Another idea would be for they make kind of playground equipment type musical instruments. Like if you've seen those, they're built sturdy enough to be playground equipment, but they can make music or release noise. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? Okay. Sir. Do you have anything further?
Nothing.
Nothing. If there are no questions or comments, this can always change from the project down the road if something else comes up or whatever, but it's good direction now.
For 2020, 22, 23, this would be the project that we apply for the Learning Center.
Mhm.
So tonight would be the opportunity for council and the public to provide input and or alternative project for us to consider. As Director Francis said, we looked at this project and so like this is one consistent with the CDBG guidelines in terms of the expenditure eligibility, and two, benefits that surrounding area to provide additional open space. We've done the additional improvements to the Learning Center with the expansion of the center itself. Now we have the library, so this would provide additional amenities for the public and the end user that falls within the census tracts, consistent CDBG guidelines.
All right, so we'll open the public hearing. Anyone in the audience care to address council for or against, or any other suggestions may come forward. Hearing none. Close the public hearing. Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll have a motion.
Make a motion to approve as read.
Now, second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons, seconded by Councilmember Lopez to approve as presented.
Yes.
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Crowe.
Yes. Management reports. First item is ratification of the MOU with Service Employees International Union.
Mayor and Council, the next two items, our HR manager, Carol, will make the presentation. And one is for SEIU 521, and the second is with SPOA. We've concluded labor negotiations. Both unions have ratified. And so this evening, we're asking your approval to ratify both agreements. So, Carol.
Honorable Mayor and council members of the Chapter City Council, the city's labor negotiation team met in good faith with SEIU representatives to discuss salaries, benefits, and other terms and conditions of employment for the renewal of their memorandum of understanding. We have reached a tentative agreement in accordance with council's direction. On November 9th, the SEIU membership ratified the tentative agreement for a 2-year term of the MOU, which is from January 1st of 2022 through December 31st, 2023, with the following updates. To notify the union in writing or via email of all new hires at least 10 days prior to new employee orientation. Allow union to meet with employees for 1 hour for each orientation. Within 30 days of hire, provide union with employee contact information. Provide union with a quarterly list of recognized employees and their contact information. Effective January 1, 2022, all recognized employees shall receive an increase to base salary equal to 2.5%. Effective January 1, 2023, all recognized employees shall receive an increase to base salary equal to 2.5%. The city will complete a Public Works Department reorganization structure by April 1st of 2022. Increase the bilingual Spanish incentive pay from $80 monthly to $100 monthly. Increase the on-call cell phone pay from $13 per day on-call to $20 per day on-call. The health and retirement benefits to remain status quo. Job-related specific to duties perform safety equipment, jackets, and/or boots will be provided once per fiscal year as determined by the department head or designee. Issuance of safety boots and jackets will be issued in the month of July each fiscal year. Change the deadline to submit vacation cash out requests to no later than the first payday in May and or November. And vacation accruals earned through that deadline will be used to determine eligibility. No later than December 10, all recognized employees who work an essential position during the COVID-19 period from March 4th, 2020 to September 30th, 2021 shall receive a lump sum net essential premium payment of $5,000. Employees must be actively employed on the date payment is made in order to be eligible. And the last item is to remove language referring to past events from sections 5.13 of the pay schedule. The fiscal impact to the general fund for the remaining 6 months of fiscal year 21-22 is $7,293.91, which is comprised of 47% of increases to salary, bilingual pay, and on-call cell phone pay for the remaining of the fiscal year. The fiscal impact to the general fund for fiscal year 22-23 is $16,588.03, comprising of 47% of increase to salaries, bilingual pay, on-call cell phone pay, and health insurance for the full fiscal year. The $7,293.91 can be accommodated within the current adopted budget, and the $16,588.03 will be included in the adoption of the 22-23 budget. Staff's recommendation is that council ratifies the MOU with SEIU for the period of January 1st, 2022 to December 31st of 23. I'm available to answer any questions regarding the SEIU MOU.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? No.
Motion to approve as read.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez to approve as presented.
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Proud.
Yes. Next item is ratification for the MOU with Police Department Association.
So honorable mayor and council members of the Shafter City Council, we have also reached a tentative agreement with SPOA. And I'll skip down to the items that with council's direction we have agreed upon. So the first one is to edit language to CTO section to reflect that all CTO hours over 160 hours earned through June 30th will be paid out on or before July 31st. Add language to callback pay indicating that the section does not apply to standby/court time. Edit language to court pay section to clarify the incentive as court subpoena appearance pay and specify that the employees appearing in court pursuant to a subpoena are eligible for the pay. Effective January 1, 2022, sworn recognized employees shall receive a 1% cost of living adjustment and 2% equity adjustment. Effective January 1, 2022, non-sworn recognized employees shall receive a 1% cost of living adjustment. Effective January 1, 2023, all recognized employees shall receive a 2% cost of living adjustment. A citywide compensation study shall be completed by December 31st, 2022, which will include both sworn and non-sworn positions. All benefits and other terms of the MOU shall remain in effect. Remove the following sections to post incentive pay. So section 1C, performance appraisal report, section 5, application procedure, section 6, appeal, section 7, recertification. Change the deadline to submit vacation cash out requests to no later than the first payday in May and or November. Vacation accruals earned through that deadline will be used to determine eligibility. Memorialize the side letter agreement to provide 8 hours of holiday pay in addition to pay for holiday hours worked, and remove example language. The health benefits to remain status quo. No later than December 10, 2021. All recognized employees who worked in an essential position during the COVID-19 pandemic from the period of March 4th, 2020 to September 30th shall receive a lump sum net essential premium payment of $3,500. No later than December 9, 2022, all recognized employees who worked in an essential position during the COVID-19 pandemic from March 4th, 2020 to September 30th, 21 shall receive a lump sum net essential premium payment of $1,500. And last but not least, remove language referring to past events from section 5.14 pay schedule and section 5.15 take-home vehicle program. The fiscal impact to the general fund for the remaining 6 months of fiscal year 21-22 is $43,207.36, which includes increases to salary for the remaining of the fiscal year. The fiscal impact to the general fund for the 22-23 fiscal year is $82,631.34, which includes salary and health insurance premiums for the full fiscal year. The $43,207.36 can be accommodated within the adopted 21-22 budget, and the $82,631.34 will be included in the adoption of the 22-23 budget. Staff's recommendation is for council to ratify the MOU with SPOA, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second that motion.
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Wells.
Yes. Next item is the Central Valley Highway Lift Station Upgrade.
So Mayor and Council, Alex Gonzalez, our associate engineer, will make a presentation. This is a project that should be familiar to you, and that several meetings back. This item came before you for the purchase of the equipment, and this item is for the installation and work of that. So Alex.
If I may start things off here. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shasta City Council, Public Works has been working to relocate and upgrade an existing sewer lift station that's located in the paved portion of Central Valley Highway, right next to the former Brookside Deli. As you may know, lift station pumps, specifically underground, are necessary when gravity sewer flow isn't always an option. This particular lift station is, I'm pretty sure, our oldest lift station that hasn't been upgraded per the current city standards. And as you can imagine, being in a paved state highway presents logistical and safety concerns for crews and the public. So the council previously authorized the purchase of a new lift station pumping and electrical equipment, which has been ordered, and the council authorized formal bidding of the installation work. And the installation work basically consists of removing and abandoning the current lift station in a paved area and constructing a new one, essentially on the east side of the highway, behind the curb and gutter, located more or less between the existing parking lot and where the car wash is planned. So here tonight to summarize the bid process, the bid results, and where we go from here, Alex Gonzalez, the associate engineer and project manager, is going to brief you on the project.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shasta City Council, on November 12th, 2021, staff publicly opened bids for the installation of the new lift station to be supplied by Romtech Utilities. 3 bids were received. The apparent low bid was submitted by Broff Construction Incorporated. Upon reviewing their bid, it was found that Broff Construction submitted a bid bond, but did not use the approved and provided form that was included in the bid documents as required. It was determined that the submitted bid bond form did not have equal liability requirements for not honoring their bid, and as such would provide the contractor with an unfair competitive advantage. This resulted in staff having to deem their bid as non-responsive. The lowest responsible bid was submitted by SW Construction Incorporated in the amount of $490,272.49. SW Construction has not completed any projects for the city in the past, but the references of work indicated that they have completed 4 lift station projects in the past 3 years. And we will be coordinating construction schedules with the car wash, as we will probably be kicking off hopefully around the same time. Currently, the construction of the lift station is anticipated to begin towards the end of January or the beginning of February.
Thank you, Alex. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shasta City Council, as far as the funding the project goes,
This is considerably more expensive lift station project than we're accustomed to. I think we've essentially completed the whole CIP project budget, just purchasing the aforementioned pumping equipment. It's just like everything else, it's more expensive and harder to get these days. As far as funding the installation work that's up for recommendation tonight, staff is proposing reallocating funds from other CIP projects to cover the necessary funding, a recommended funding budget of $550,000. The specific plan consists of reallocating $50,000 from the revolving wastewater treatment plant operating budget, and then $175,000 from the manhole coating budget. These are projects that we don't anticipate being fully expended this fiscal year. In addition to the reallocation from other CIP projects, we're recommending a budget appropriation from the wastewater fund balance to get to the $550,000 we need to proceed with this project. So, in mid-fiscal year, we'll likely revisit the state of all CIP projects and possibly come back to you for additional budget action. And we may have to consider a loan from the general fund to cover some of these projects, which was assumed in the last rate study that was approved that ultimately led to the rates we're paying. Or we could consider use of ARPA or other federal infrastructure money to cover the difference. But we'll come back to you at a later date. At least that's the plan. So for tonight, we're recommending an award of the installation contract and budget action to fully fund that contract. And either Alex or I can answer any questions.
Any questions?
So the initial low bidder understandably is non-responsive. Have they worked with us before in the past?
The initial low bidder,
Mhm.
they have not.
So the low and the second low of neither have worked with us before. Has the third worked with us?
I don't believe so. In the time that I've been here, I did not believe the third bidder has worked with us.
And the ones who typically do this work or ones we've worked with in the past, no bids whatsoever from them?
No, we did not receive bids.
It was a open formal bid process, so
Correct.
it's just probably just a sign of the times, or people are committed elsewhere.
Did we follow up to see how they've responded in other areas? And
Yes, yes, I did. I called another city of Santa Cruz, which they completed a lift station project for them last year. Very similar to the one we're doing, total reconstruct with bypass and everything, and they had good reviews for them on how they did.
SW.
Yeah, SW
Okay.
Construction, so they recommended.
I know it's a big project and as you say, it's an old lift station and this is just the timing that we have to get into it and get it done.
And timing is even more so important because we're trying to get in there before the car wash project gets
Right.
started. So this is probably the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I will make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Gibbons,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Okay, the next item is another one of the favorite ones of ours is the 2021 water meter installation, phase 1 project award.
Actually, I'm going to defer to our Public Works Director to introduce it. Mike. Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shaft City Council. In addition to the lift station, Public Works is looking to make significant progress with becoming a fully metered water system, which is required by the state by calendar year 2025. Before you tonight is a request to award the purchase of approximately 650 meters, as well as a separate contract to have those meters installed by a contractor. To walk us through the scope of work, bid process, and installation process, we're joined by Utilities Manager Marcos Torres.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Shafter City Council. To date, over about 2,500 water meters have been installed throughout the city.
How many was it?
2,500,
Yes, sir.
accounting in approximately 60% of all residents. Public Works recently received bids for installing water meters and upgrading of water services for approximately 650 residential and commercial properties, which is being referred to as phase 1. Phase 2, which would account for the rest of the services, is tentatively scheduled for 2023. We received a total of 6 bids, ranging from pricing from $903,000 to approximately $1.462 million. Engineers estimate range the project at $750,000 to $1 million. Public Works has confirmed the lowest responsive bid has been submitted by Vortex Construction in the amount of $903,964.49. This contractor has completed city projects in the past, including most recently the Manor Park Outdoor Fitness Court. In addition to receiving bids for the installation work, staff also received a quote for $198,769.11 to purchase water meters and cellular endpoints by Badger Meter, the city standard preferred meter manufacturer. Earlier this year, staff invested in the Badger Beacon metering platform that will enable customers the ability to view consumption and billing information via an online platform, as well as allowing staff to remotely view water meter data. Public Works plans to work alongside the contractor to make sure proper notification is given to affected water customers. Staff intends to send out a summary notification before we start to make sure what to expect during construction and also on their future utility bills. Customers shall also expect to receive notification a week prior to the start in their neighborhood, as well as a 24-hour notification before any water service interruption is performed. If awarded tonight, staff intends to get started on the project at the beginning of next year.
Thank you, Marcos. For the fiscal impact side of this project, similar to the lift station project, we're short on funding as currently funded, approximately $200,000 short of the desired budget. Similar to the lift station project, tonight we're proposing budget reallocations from other CIP projects that we don't anticipate won't be fully expended by the end of the fiscal year. So that's included, detailed in your staff report. The accounts are listed, aren't described, but I'll describe them to you. We're going to propose reallocating $100,000 from the water tank improvement account and $100,000 from the carbon treatment reloading. Again, these accounts we anticipate won't be fully expended, and they can be utilized to help fully fund this critical meter installation project. So again, as with the lift station project and the wastewater CIP, we'll revisit the state of all of the CIP water projects mid-year and possibly propose budget action to cover any shortfalls. With that tonight, we're requesting authorization to approve the proposed meter purchase as well as the award of the installation contract. And not covered in your recommendations is the budget action I just summarized. So if we could get a motion to proceed with the budget action as detailed in the staff report, that would be appreciated.
Okay, any comments? Thank you, Steph.
Mike, I have a question. With these additional water meters, we're up to 60% right now.
Yes,
So this will get us to,
probably about 80 and then with 20% left.
okay.
And we are holding out hope, that a grant or some other favorable funding source will come through and help us finish things off. But we have until 2025. So as Mr. Torres pointed out, 2023 is probably as long as we want to hold out.
So this will get us to 80%.
Yeah, when we're
Okay.
gonna,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm asked for clarification on approval. So approving as read. And Marco, are we needing to do a secondary approval? Or can we just approve as read based on what's shown here?
Yeah, what you're approving is exactly what is shown here.
Okay, so I don't need to do two separate approvals, one for a budget amendment and one for,
You can do this one motion.
thank you, sir. I just wanted to make sure based on what he said.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, for clarification for the record, we're not actually asking for a budget amendment to increase appropriations from reserves.
Correct,
We're just reallocating from existing fund within the fund. So
correct. I just, the way Mike, the way you said, I just want to make sure I didn't do something different when making a motion.
you did.
Thank you. With that said, I will make a motion to approve as read.
Second.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Proud.
Yes. Okay, you'll note that Caesar was excused. He'll be right back. Okay, the next item is the City of Shafter Economic Development Draft Strategic Plan Proposed Goals.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this would be a brief item in that we just want to present to you the results of the workshop we had a few weeks ago. Our Economic Development Director, Bob Meadows, will make the presentation. We're not asking you to approve anything tonight or take formal action. This is an item presented to you for discussion, direction. There's no rush with this particular item. It's not time sensitive. There's no money allowed. This is our work plan, if you will. So if council wishes to defer, which for further discussion, in future meetings, that's obviously your discretion, but this is just to give you the results of the workshop. So,
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and member of the Shafter City Council, this is a follow-up to our workshop on October 19th, where we discussed a number of these items. So I would like to introduce to you the 5 strategic goals that we are proposing for your consideration. Yeah. First is the to develop the Shafter brand and marketing strategy. Secondly, to revitalize downtown core business areas. Third, to pursue private investment for shovel-ready developments. Fourth, we partner with private industry to expand and or outsource rail operations and the fiber network. And finally, to engage private and public partners to retrain our local workforce. At that point, this is what we've come up with to move forward. We'll look forward to coming back in 2 weeks to propose an adoption. I can happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Just to clarify, though, I don't think we're going to be ready for 2 weeks because we already have a pretty full agenda, don't we, for 2 weeks?
yeah, and we're trying to keep it light, but we also have SB 1383
Yeah,
coming
so
back to you. So we're probably looking at
Maybe
after
one.
the first of the year to come back with this.
My preference with this is these are a goal to me is something to achieve. And while these are great statements to make, they don't give me goals to look forward to. And so I need, for me personally, I need more time to be able to look at that and at least put some meat onto the bones. Because right now we have a structure, which is nice. I don't disagree with where we're at from a strategic perspective, but I do want to see us start stating what kind of goals we want to see as an organization, right, as a city moving forward. That make sense?
Yes.
Any other comments?
I just, can you go back to your slide, your presentation real quick? Like, well, for example, these ideas, I know you have a template here. Is this something that we need to fill in, or is it something you want to present that you've already come up with, or how's this?
Well, these are the results of our discussions that we have from the workshop and
Right.
called those. So the obvious follow up after goals being established are the tactics and the action steps that we'll be taking. Certainly, and those will maybe follow in more with what you're going to be looking for us to accomplish and be more specific in that regard. Again, these are proposed to consider.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
To the note, I do believe that these give us a great base, right? Something to say, okay, we've got this framework, but if I'm looking, well, the number one sitting on our screens right now, developing the Shafter brand and marketing strategy, it's a very vague comment. It makes sense to say we need to focus on that, but what does that mean? What goal are we looking for? What time frame is that going to be? So it's the only reason I say I would like to see a little bit more meat onto the skeleton.
The only reason I brought my question up is it something that I need to start looking into, or is it something you're going to present to us that you've already, that you're the work and brought it to us? That's on this.
We will be presenting.
Okay.
Just for clarification, Councilmember, Mayor and Council, it'd be both.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Correct.
It's us providing the framework, due diligence, information, examples. But we're looking for council to provide some of the additional filler, the meat, maybe I speak from our program aside, and to engage in that discussion. Ultimately, you as a council, will have to reach consensus on those proposed goals, but we will be looking for your input. So until we have the next workshop, you know, you can use this document to kind of provoke thought and ideas in terms of what that vision is for economic development for the city. There's lots, the city has great bones, you know, we'll keep referring to that, but given the history and the vision it established, you know, decades ago and the progress it's made, we are dealing in different times now and the economy shifting and whatnot. And just the way private investment is taking place in today's environment. And so we're gonna be looking at some of those factors that are outside of our control, but we're looking internally for your input as well.
It's nothing like a good New York State.
Yeah.
So does staff have any thoughts that we might be able to do this in a separate meeting?
Yeah, one thought could be that annually we've been having our strategic plan workshop. So this would be a great follow-up to have during that time, because you'll be talking globally in terms of the strategic plan for the city as we have. I think the last couple of years was a little unique because one, we were in the midst of the pandemic. So we were trying to just get through it. And I think Councilmember Lopez even said, hey, right now we just need to get through this situation. Then we went into recovery this past year, you know, things are resuming back into normal. So I think this 2022 will be a great opportunity for us to come together in person and have a workshop on the strategic goals. And then this is a subcomponent of that global strategic plan for the city and the organization. So definitely we can continue to, I mean, with you one-on-one, Bob and I can set up some different time and have some additional sit downs with you to get your thoughts and whatnot. But I think that strategic plan workshop with council would be an ideal time to take this up.
It's a great roadmap. Honestly, it's a great roadmap to sit down with and say, okay, now when we go into that strategic planning, we have things to focus on instead of, you know, right now we walk into this giant room and, you know, try to spin on ideas. Now we have something to actually hold on to and focus more on that.
I'm looking forward to that too.
Great.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, we have the other item for us is the adopt urgency ordinance number 728 to amend the municipal code title 16 and 17 in response to Senate Bill 9.
So, Mayor and Council, as you know, Steve makes his way up to our planning manager. SB 9 recently passed, and it creates some, I would just put it bluntly, it's a detrimental impacts to local government in terms of local control for development, particularly in residential areas. There is a caveat in that if, since the bill doesn't take, new law doesn't take effect until January 1, cities have an opportunity to adopt an urgency ordinance to establish objective criteria that, although it won't prevent this type of development to occur, it does give some parameters in which the city can try to guide how that development occurs. And it's not just sort of a free for all. And so that's the reason that we have an urgency ordinance before you tonight, because we need to have these objective criteria guidelines adopted by January 1. So by December 31st, we have to have these. After January 1, cities can't adopt these type of objective criteria guidelines. So that's the reason why this is before you as an urgency ordinance. So Steve.
Yeah, I think this is Steve Esselman, a planning director for the city of Shafter. Yeah, the city manager is correct. Yeah, we have until essentially January 1st to adopt objective criteria. If we didn't, or objective standards rather, if we didn't do that, we'd have to fall back on what objective standards we currently have available to us in both Title 16, the subdivision ordinance, as well as Title 17, the zoning ordinance. So with that, what we did was we worked with our city attorney, who provided us with some draft language. And then myself and my senior planner, Suzanne, went through both Title 16 and Title 17 to essentially put that draft language into our ordinance so that it made sense. To give you a sense of some of the objective standards that we are proposing in these ordinance amendments, is if you look at page 2 of the staff report, if you look at project analysis, there are a number of bullets there. Those are essentially a summary of the objective standards that we are incorporating into both Title 16 and 17. The biggest one some of them are just make sense, like, having a lot adjoining a public right of way, or, certain things about entering into easement agreements. But we also have some more where we have a little more protection for the city, so that this possibility of urban lot splits and 2-unit projects on these urban lot splits can be developed in a methodical way, and with something where we have a little bit of we've put some parameters around it. And one of the biggest ones I would say for you to consider that we've put in there is the idea that if a lot split is created by an urban lot split, we would require the property owners to sign an affidavit saying that they would live in one of the properties. And here's the reason. We early on, right after this got approved by the governor, we got a call from a subdivider, a company, and they asked, could we split 10 lots? We said, sure. You got 10 property owners that are willing to live there. You can do that. So what that kind of does is it keeps with the intent of, this is a way for an individual to leverage their own property. If they want split their lot, build another home. Okay, sure. That's the American dream, you know, to leverage your own property, but you got to live there. You are invested there for at least 3 years. So with all of that, we worked this through both 16 and 17 of the municipal code, and we are tonight providing these amendments for your consideration. What we will do is, if you approve it tonight, because it is an urgency ordinance, and the reason we're undergoing an urgency ordinance is because we think if you don't have these in place, you could have conflicts with the subdivision map act as well as the zoning ordinance, and there could result in health and safety considerations. And so we believe that it is acceptable to do this under an emergency ordinance. And what we would do is, after approving this, we would come back the first of the year and notice formally. So that way we we're not subverting the noticing process, but instead we're just sort of expediting it now so we can get this in place before the hard deadline of January 1st occurs. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And that concludes my presentation.
Question I have is the League of Cities pursuing something to not rebut, but to change some of this SB 9? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, well, I've definitely, I've done a lot of the, gone to a lot of the workshops with the League of Cities. Right now, I think it's a matter of, it occurred, it got signed, how do we react? I think now it's a matter of, how do our city attorneys, how do our planning departments react to get things into place, and to get things into place quickly prior to the January 1st deadline, so that we have some objective standards that we can then take back to you later and further tweak, but to get it on the books now so that we make that deadline. In terms of, the League of Cities, it was mostly, it's here, get something on the books.
So there's no opposition, no rejection of anything coming forward? Because I thought I saw that or felt it.
Mayor and Council, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
There are some cities that are trying to get the league to take a position to, if anything, defer.
So just some
implementation.
individual cities?
Yeah, the law is in place. It's been signed by the governor. So it would take new legislation to make changes to the law itself. But it's my understanding there are some cities petitioning the league to request for delay of implementation, so that it doesn't take place January 1, allow cities to further analyze the impacts to their communities from a number of different elements, from noise, traffic, infrastructure, water, sewer, all of that. And so that's what my understanding is, that is being discussed.
There are private individuals that have some affiliation with cities, but they're doing this as private individuals that are talking about an initiative measure that you go back.
Oh, that's what I'm seeing.
But these are private individuals that have some affiliation with cities, but they're doing it on their own.
Are they usually developers or just you
No,
and I?
some of them are city officials,
Some are city officials and
but they're doing it on their own and trying to sort of create a movement that others would be able to join. As of right now, my understanding is they've got something drafted. I don't know if it's been turned in yet. To be turned general for language or like that. But there is some sort of movement, as I understand it. It's probably the same thing you heard, Mayor, of some folks that are affiliated with cities, some city officials, but they're doing this on their own.
and that's to eliminate all of it or?
No, it's
No.
to sort of certainly affect this one, but some of the other house bills as well.
Oh, see, that's what's important too. Yeah.
ADUs.
SB 330.
You have a note on here, each resulting lot must adjoin the public right of ways. So does that mean that there can't be any backyard units?
Well, you could do flag units. You could certainly do a flag, like have a pole to the flag itself, which is the second lot, provided that you have the proper right of width to have that access.
Because they would have to have access to a driveway of some sorts.
They'd have to have access to a public street, and which means they would have to have some sort of a private drive that met our standards, usually through a flag lot is what we call it.
Correct. But they would still have to have the drive approaches. I guess
Correct.
what I'm getting. And our standard for drive approaches is 20 feet?
20 feet.
20 feet. Okay.
Well, time will tell, huh? Because I think.
And like I
we
said,
could-
you know, we can, if we get it into place, we can always come back and react to it, and we can always tweak and continue to tweak. I think we've gotten as much objective standards as we can put in here by law. I think BBK and Marco has done a great job of providing us solid template for us to work on, and then we took that template and made it our own using the specifics of our subdivision ordinance and our zoning ordinance.
Yeah, one of the big unknowns, I think, and I was talking to Steve about it when we were talking over the ordinance, is the issue of properties that are encumbered by a mortgage lien that's secured by the property. What happens at that point, and we just don't know. Some cities are considering making that part of their application process, that if the property is encumbered, that you get at least the permission of the mortgage, the holder of the mortgage, to be able to subdivide, because since it's secured by the entire property, if you subdivide it and get rid of a portion of it at least, we think there's going to be some issues there, but we're still trying to work that out.
And currently that is our process. I actually confirmed with my senior planner who's been here for a long time. We do require that we get some sort of a letter of a concurrence agreement from the lender, the person who's the banker, if you want to call it that, prior to getting what's called a certificate of completion saying you have a legal lot. And so if you can't get concurrence from your loan lender that, yeah, sure, you can sell off 40% of your lot and we're okay with that. Well, that's part of the package required to get a certificate of compliance, which allows the city to deem your lot legal. So that's one of the things that will be in our back pocket from a practical standpoint, but it will be done through the application process. Rather, we talked about it. It's better to be done through the application process rather than sort of codify it in the ordinance.
All these cities who chose not to say anything, and then all of a sudden they're getting hit with this, are all trying to scramble and figure out how to deal with it. And yet all these cities have legislation who approved it. It's just unbelievable.
Like I said, we're doing our best to be proactive, to get objective standards in place so that we aren't behind the eight ball with limited standards, because if we were to not do this, we would simply have what we have available to us currently, which didn't have this in mind, this idea of a by right urban lot split in 2-unit projects on a single family residential parcel.
Just a quick comment, Mayor and Council, is also important to point out that us adopting this ordinance doesn't make it legal proof. because a developer or individual can still challenge. And as we've seen, the state housing and community department has intervened on behalf of individuals and developers and overruled local control decisions related to land use and planning. So we're being proactive, but it's not 100% legal proof that we can still be challenged. And if HCD were to get involved, as we've seen in recent months and times in different cases, jurisdictions, Bakersfield in itself, they had HCD come in and overturn a local decision. And that's just one example. There's others as well where they can get involved and overturn local control decisions.
But that's also one of the reasons why the approach that we're using allows us to trail it with the regular version. And so if we have to do any cleanups as part of that, we can do it part of the regular version that's going to be trailing the urgency ordinance.
So you have a single lot, and based on what I see here, let's assume it's a R1. An individual who's going to build a home on an R1 has X amount of fees going to schools and what have you. Let's assume $30,000 in total fees, just assuming.
Okay.
I own R1 lot. I split R1 lot and create multiple dwellings. Does each one of those get charged the typical square footage cost for all the fees, the school fees, the assessments, things of that nature? Or is it only charged based on the single lot before the split?
I believe fees are based on APNs. You would develop two APNs, and so you would have two tax breakdowns for those two lots. They become two legal lots.
Even the adjacent dwelling units, the ADUs?
Oh, the ADUs themselves. I'm sorry, the ADUs themselves.
Because theoretically, if I'm reading this right, I split the lot. Sorry, I split the lot. Yes, that becomes two APNs, but on that split lot, I can still create a home plus additional dwelling units. So those additional dwelling units become homes, and based on what you're showing here, they have to rent for a minimum of 30 days, but regardless, those don't get hit with an additional licensing or fee.
Right.
So we have,
the
let's,
ADU law is the one that says that. It's not the SB9 law. It's the ADU law that applies, that talks about the fees. on the
so the
ADU.
combination of both of these is just,
Yeah.
So now you're going to see an increase in kids if that happens without the actual increase in revenue to the school sites who are trying to accommodate the increase in total capacity.
So in that example, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Council, if you have one lot, it splits, only this first home could build an ADU under SB 330, there's no fees they pay. The new lots, they can build a new home, that home builds would pay fees, but when they go to build an ADU, two of those, that second ADU does not pay any fees. But you have 4 units on what was once a single family.
And how many splits can I do in a single R1?
On a single R1, they can only do one split.
So one split. So the max we're looking at an R1 is 4 homes.
4, and there is a certain, and I put it in here, it says if 2 primary dwelling units are attached to each other, 1 converted ADU and 2 detached ADUs associated with the multifamily dwelling structure for a total of 5 on the lot. I think that's related to multiple family, which is not as important here, just simply because we have a lot more single family residential lots. Rather than
Potentially 2 turns to 5.
But it could go between 4 and 5. Yeah.
Whereas only 2 of the 5 are paying their actual fees.
Correct.
Gotcha.
But under SB 330, you have the ADUs and you have junior ADUs.
Correct.
So you have SB 9 that allows you up to 4, and then SB 330 allows single lot, one property owner to build a ADU, and then they can convert their garage or build above the garage for a secondary unit as a junior ADU, so long as it falls within the confines of.
Gee, we might as well go home. We don't even make any decisions. So
The state.
I mean, you can do whatever.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Stephen,
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Guys, it's only people, huh? People
Yes,
making
sir.
stupid laws.
I have a question on the second to last bullet. It says the applicant must sign an affidavit stating that the applicant intends to occupy the dwelling of one of the units as one of the principal residents for a minimum of 3 years. My question there is, I mean, people can have multiple houses in different places. How long would he have to be here to be considered a resident in that dwelling?
Well, once he builds it, he would have to reside in one of the residences.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, does that 50% of the time? Is it 60% of the time? Because I mean, he could just have his utility bills go there and pay them from there and say that, yeah, that's my legal resident.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, people can pull that. They can skirt if they want to, and obey the letter, if not the letter of the law, if not the intent. What I would say to that is it's something where we may need to, you know, a lot of this stuff is you may need to go out and investigate a little bit and determine if what they're saying is actually reality. But you're right. You're right. They could have their mail going there but they're not really living there. You know, they're actually living in the house, you know, the house that they've always lived in, or, you know, we had one gentleman who he's in low income housing. And we told him, sure, you could split your lot, because this is a guy that just likes to maximize his lots, get as much money as we can in each lot. And we said, you got to live there for 3 years. You got to sign an affidavit to live there for 3 years. And then that shut him down, because he's not going to live in one of his low income housing parcels. He wants to live in the mansion that he bought with all the low income housing parcels that he owns, you know. Okay.
Any further questions?
Anybody else? Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve as read.
Second.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yeah.
Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
yes. See what happens next. Huh? We have some council or city manager comments and reports.
So you're Mayor and Council, my laptop there. I got comments, but technology.
That happened earlier.
Few comments, Mayor, Council. The city entered the Christmas tree display at the Shafter Depot, merry and bright. So that's on display between 10 and 3 this Saturday. That's something the organization did to participate in the community's event. Yesterday, in partnership with Kern County Fire Department, we hosted a recruitment fair, job fair, if you will. Besides Bakersfield, they had the best turnout here. They had over 40 potential recruits attend, people that were interested in going into fire service. So it was very positive.
But they weren't just Shafter residents.
We don't know where
Come
all
from
they came
everywhere?
from. It was probably
They-
regional,
It was open.
but
Mhm.
nonetheless, it was the strongest turnout they've had
Good.
from any of the other alignment cities. So that's positive in terms of any interest. Hopefully, so most of them were local, which is good. Firefighting is a very honorable profession. And so, but nonetheless, it was a good turnout and working with them. I'd like to ask council if you would be open. As you know, we had the SB 1383 community workshop on the 30th of November. And that was the purpose of that workshop. Was not to upset our residents. It was to get input, hear questions, get concerns. You know, we can't control human emotion.
It was a very fine line between information and being upset. Very,
Yeah.
very, very fine.
That's why I said,
It tiptoed and
yeah, human nature, and not everybody shared the same sentiment, but yeah.
no.
And so part of that, we did get a number of questions. Staff has met, we're working with American Refuge to prepare some responses to some of the questions. We grouped them by category, if you will, those that had issues with alley or rates, issues like that. And so we're doing additional due diligence. And so we like to be able to come back to you on the 21st, prior to the regular council meeting, just to share that with you as more of a council workshop. So is that something you're open to? We would host it, not host it, start at 4:30 in the evening for just an hour, wrap up by about 5:30. It's simply just us providing to you, sharing with you what those questions were and their responses and engage in that dialogue. Is that something that you'd be open to have? It's part of the process to be able to, for you to hear.
What day was that again?
It'll be the next council meeting, Tuesday, the 21st, at 4:30. In addition to comments we received at the actual workshop, we've continued to receive on Facebook comments, questions, concerns. And so again, we've been collecting those and compiling them. Public Works has also received phone calls over there. So we have those as well. And so we just, part of the due diligence, we want to come back to you and share and get more further input. So is that something we're gonna move forward with?
We would hold it here.
Yeah, it would be here.
Okay.
Okay. So for 4:30, 21st. And then any of you that are interested, the League of Cities is hosting the new mayors and council members academy. This will be virtual again. And that is January 20th, 21st, 27th, and 28th. If any of you are interested, contact our city clerk, Yasmina, so you can take care of the registration for you.
Oh, it's all online then, huh?
Yeah, it's all virtual.
20, 21st, or the 27, 28.
So
No.
20th, 21st, 27th, 28th. Yes. So I'm
It
thinking you
was so
probably
confusing
pick-
last time.
Yeah. it wasn't like-
Jeez.
it
you can
wasn't.
probably pick and choose which one sessions you want to go. I don't know, but I don't know how effective they've been virtually. So,
Very little effect.
Yeah, last year wasn't very well.
City chapter employee holiday luncheon this coming Monday. Hopefully all some or all of you can attend. It is in the middle of the day at 11 o'clock over at the Veterans Hall. Lunch will be served. We're doing a small gift exchange game, and bring your wear your ugly sweater, because we're having an ugly sweater. Marcos is already in the spirit.
What?
And so
Can borrow, anybody can borrow mine.
just step one. And then for 2022, so you get this on your calendar, January 27th, it's a Thursday, 5:30. The Chapter Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a State of the City address at the Ford Theater. So if you plan to attend, let us know so that Yasmina can make a
Well, that's the
reservation.
awards night.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with that, Mayor and Council, I have nothing further, and none of the department directors have any reports for you this evening. So that concludes staff review.
We get to take a nice picture with the ugly sweater man.
Yes, we kind of held some fun things. We always like to have fun, so. You need to tell us why you have this beautiful sweater on, and then we need to do the picture. You have your camera ready? He has to have a picture. Yes, you get to tell us.
Well, it's the firm has a contest every year. It's an ugly sweater contest, but in order to enter the contest and win the fabulous $50 gift card, anybody who wants to enter has to take a picture with a city council member or mayor. So I thought my best shot is to let my wife pick the sweater and have the entire council be in the picture.
That's right. I agree with you. So you can come right up here. All right. Let's move the chair back, guys. You can stand up, right? Yeah. Ah. Now, how many other councils are you having? Get up here, up here. Yeah, and move in.
Just
Move in.
you're my last shot because the other council canceled their meetings.
They canceled the meeting? Oh, well, then you get to put it in twice. Okay, move your chair back and then screw it in. How close do we need? Oh, this is good. See, he's got the best. Yeah.
Ready? I'll take a few.
You have us all in?
Yeah, everyone's in, nice and close.
All right, let's check this out.
Thank you.
Send us that?
I will.
Well, let me get one.
See, isn't it fun?
You can see him.
Oh, take two, take two,
You
take
could've
two.
got yours. Yeah, why not? huh?
Get back in your same spot.
Ready? Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you for coming tonight.
Now we hope you win.
I hope, yeah.
Because you're wearing an ugly sweater, you represent us. Now we're wearing an ugly sweater.
You better win, Marco.
Yes, I need to have a motion to recess for closed session, and we have 3 items. One is a conference with legal counsel for possible initiation of litigation. Do I need to have a code number? Do I need to read the code number?
No, I will announce it
Okay.
afterwards.
And number two is a conference for labor negotiators. And the third one was employee performance evaluation with the city manager.
Considering dragging this on just a little bit for the gentleman standing in the back who are anxiously waiting to go home, but I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second it.
Okay, and the timing
I
is
saw it.
7:16, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. Good, we're in closed session. All right, we are back in session, and this time we'd like to call upon our city attorney that will give us a wrap up.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier tonight, City Council recessed in the closed session. The items are listed on page 4 of the regular meeting agenda. There were 3 items, conference with legal counsel concerning the possible initiation of litigation. City Council declined to pursue any litigation that was related to participation in the national opioid settlement that was being administered by the various attorneys general of various states across the country. Item number 2, conference with labor negotiators concerning the groups listed on the agenda. City Council provided direction to its negotiating team, and we have no reportable action. City Council also completed the public employee performance evaluation related to the city manager, providing direction to the manager, and we have no further reportable action on that item. That concludes the report.
Okay, hearing that report, we need a motion to adjourn.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chad
I'll second it.
and Pete, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Will some of you be able to make one?